If your grocery bill went up again this week, you're not imagining it. Prices are rising faster than most families can keep up. But inside Amish kitchens, the rules are completely different. They're feeding big families for pennies on the dollar, without coupons, without sales, and without sacrificing a single thing. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn 40 kitchen strategies you can use today, yes today, to slash food waste, stretch every ingredient, and beat rising grocery prices before they beat you. Homemade spice blends instead of pricey jars. Those small jars of taco seasoning or Italian herbs at the store are mostly salt, filler, and marketing. Amish families sidestep that markup by buying base herbs and spices in bulk, then combining them themselves. A large bag of garlic powder, onion powder, dried parsley, oregano, basil, and paprika can be mixed into custom blends for meats, soups, stews, and sauces. These mixes are stored in reused glass jars, labeled simply, and refilled as needed. Families control salt levels and ingredients, so there are no hidden additives, anti-caking agents, or mystery flavorings. Many also grow their own herbs in summer, hanging them to dry in bunches and crumbling them into jars for winter. The end result is better flavor, more flexibility, and a fraction of the cost. Instead of paying for fancy labels and tiny portions, every dollar goes straight into high-value ingredients. Baking bread instead of buying air. For the Amish, bread isn't a last-minute purchase tossed into the cart. It's a weekly ritual that quietly cuts the grocery bill. Store bread is mostly puffed air, preservatives, and packaging. At home, they combine flour, water, yeast, salt, and maybe a touch of honey or sugar, then let time and warmth do the rest. One large batch can produce multiple loaves, buns, or rolls that feed a big family for days. The smell of baking bread fills the house, and the finished loaves are dense, chewy, and genuinely satisfying, so people eat less junk between meals. Because the ingredients are cheap staples bought in bulk, each loaf costs a fraction of its supermarket equivalent. More importantly, it removes a recurring price from the shopping list entirely. When bread is something you make, not buy, you're less at the mercy of whatever number appears on the shelf tag this week. Pantry that never runs out. Amish kitchens start with a mindset most of us never consider. The pantry is not a cupboard, it's an in-house grocery store. Instead of a couple shelves with cereal and snacks, they dedicate entire rooms to storage, often planning a year ahead. Jars of canned tomatoes, beans, and fruits are stacked by season and date, so the oldest gets used first. Root vegetables rest in crates on the floor, bulk grains and flour are kept in barrels or food-grade buckets, and dried herbs hang where they're easy to grab. This system isn't just about stockpiling. Everything is visible, labeled, and rotated. When prices spike on bread, canned soup, or vegetables, their response isn't to panic at the checkout. They simply shop from their own shelves. The real savings come from removing urgency. No last-minute runs, no impulse buys, no paying whatever the store is charging because you're out of options. The use-it-all soup jar. In many kitchens, a spoonful of vegetables here and a scrap of meat there quietly die in the back of the fridge. Amish cooks refuse to let that happen. Throughout the week, they keep a dedicated jar or container for clean, edible leftovers. A few bites of chicken, half a carrot, some peas, a splash of gravy, extra broth. Nothing substantial enough for a full serving on its own, but far too good to throw away. When the jar is full or the week ends, its contents get tipped into a pot with some water or homemade broth, maybe a handful of noodles or barley, and simmered into a new, hearty soup. The flavors that seemed random in the jar blend into something surprisingly harmonious. This habit turns odds and ends into a full meal at essentially zero cost and trains everyone in the house to see leftovers as raw ingredients, not trash. Canning for a year-round food supply. In an Amish kitchen, harvest season doesn't end when the first frost hits. It simply moves into jars. Every tomato, bean, ear of corn, peach, and piece of meat that can be preserved is washed, trimmed, and processed. High-acid foods like fruits, pickles, and tomatoes go into hot water baths, while low-acid foods such as green beans and meats are safely pressure canned. The work can be intense, hours of washing, chopping, and boiling, but the payoff is rows of sealed jars that pop and ping as they cool, each one a future meal. Months later, instead of paying winter prices for bland produce shipped across the country, Amish families open a jar that tastes like August. Canning captures peak flavor and nutrition at rock-bottom seasonal prices, then freezes that value in time. It transforms a short harvest window into year-round security. Buying flour in serious bulk, where most of us toss a 5-pound bag of flour into our cart without thinking, Amish families think in terms of seasons, not weeks. They purchase flour in 25 or 50-pound sacks directly from mills or farmers, paying far less per pound than grocery store prices. Once home, that flour is transferred into airtight containers, buckets, or large jars and stored in a cool, dry place like a basement or pantry. Some families blend different grains, wheat for structure, rye or oats for flavor and nutrition, to stretch budgets and diversify what they can cook. Having this much flour on hand means bread, pancakes, cookies, noodles, and even gravies can be made anytime without running to the store. It also insulates them from sudden price hikes. A single bulk purchase may cover months of baking, so weekly flour prices become almost irrelevant. Trading food instead of spending cash. Within Amish communities, the grocery bill often shrinks because not every need is met with money. One family might excel at raising chickens and have more eggs than they can use. Another keeps bees and takes off gallons of honey each year. Someone else bakes large batches of bread or is known for excellent canned peaches. Rather than everyone trying to do everything, they lean into their strengths and trade the surplus. A dozen eggs might be swapped for a jar of honey, bread exchanged for garden vegetables, or homemade jam. This bartering builds a local food network that bypasses stores entirely for many staples. It also builds trust and accountability. People care deeply about the quality of what they trade because their reputation rests on it. In tough economic times, that network acts like a safety net, cushioning families from sudden price shocks. Turning extra cream into butter and buttermilk. When you have fresh milk, cream will always rise to the top, and Amish families refuse to waste that richness. They skim cream from milk and pour it into a churn or jar, then agitate it steadily until the fat separates from the liquid. At first, it looks like nothing is happening. Then suddenly, there are golden clumps of butter and a milky liquid called buttermilk. The butter gets pressed and washed, then shaped into blocks or balls, ready for spreading, cooking, and baking. The buttermilk becomes tomorrow's pancakes, biscuits, or bread dough. This simple transformation turns what might have been poured away or ignored into two high-value products that are increasingly expensive at the store. Fresh butter has a deeper color and flavor, especially from grass-fed cows, and the cost per pound drops dramatically when you're starting from milk you already have. Root cellar magic for free refrigeration. A root cellar is one of the simplest yet most powerful money-saving tools in the Amish world. It's usually just a cool, underground room lined with shelves and bins, taking advantage of the Earth's natural insulation. Temperatures inside stay low and fairly stable, perfect for storing hardy crops like potatoes, carrots, beets, turnips, cabbage, apples, onions, and winter squash. Properly arranged and checked occasionally for spoilage, these foods can last for months without electricity. Instead of buying produce in small, expensive winter quantities, families can harvest big in the fall, stash everything in the cellar, and shop from it all season long. There's no compressor to break, no energy bill attached, and almost no maintenance beyond ventilation and organization. It's low-tech, but it quietly replaces countless grocery trips and the constant drip of paying for out-of-season produce. Coffee replacements that cost pennies. When store-bought coffee becomes too pricey or hard to get, Amish families don't accept it as an unavoidable expense. They adapt. One common workaround is roasting barley or chicory root until it turns dark and aromatic, then grinding and brewing it like coffee. The result is a warm, robust drink with a toasty, slightly bitter flavor that feels familiar in the cup. It doesn't deliver caffeine, but it satisfies the habit and comfort of a hot morning beverage. A small amount of grain produces a surprising number of cups, particularly when bought in bulk, so the per-cup cost drops to almost nothing. Some add a bit of molasses or honey for body and sweetness. Over a month or year, swapping even half of daily coffee with a roasted barley blend can save serious money, and many people grow to genuinely enjoy the flavor. Cleaning the kitchen with pantry staples. Instead of a lineup of specialized cleaners for every surface, Amish households rely on a few simple ingredients: vinegar, baking soda, and lemon juice. Vinegar diluted with water in a spray bottle cleans counters, glass, and floors while cutting grease and killing many germs. Baking soda works as a gentle abrasive for pots, pans, sinks, and ovens, pulling out stains and odors. Lemon juice adds brightness and mild bleaching power for stubborn spots and mineral buildup. These three items, bought in bulk, cost a fraction of branded cleaners and avoid harsh chemicals, artificial fragrances, and disposable spray bottles. 1 gallon of vinegar can wash windows, wipe down the fridge, mop the floor, and still have enough left to pickle cucumbers. The savings add up over the year, and the kitchen remains clean without adding a separate cleaning products line to the budget. Following the seasonal rotation rule, Amish meal planning is built around nature's calendar, not the supermarket flyer. In spring, tender greens, early peas, and radishes dominate. Summer brings tomatoes, cucumbers, bean, and squash in overwhelming abundance, so these become everyday dishes. Fall focuses on apples, pumpkins, potatoes, and long-keeping crops. Winter meals lean heavily on canned vegetables, dried fruits, root-cellar produce, and grains. By eating what's available from the garden or local farms at each time of year, they avoid expensive out-of-season produce completely. There's no paying a premium for fresh berries in January or imported asparagus when it's not local. This seasonal rhythm keeps meals varied and exciting without needing to buy everything all the time. It also quietly trains taste buds to appreciate what's truly ripe and flavorful, making simple ingredients feel special when they return each year. Stretching meat into 3 or more meals. In Amish cooking, meat is considered valuable fuel to be stretched thoughtfully, not the oversized centerpiece of a plate. Take 1 whole chicken. It's roasted for the first meal, served with vegetables and maybe potatoes. The next day, any leftover meat is shredded and added to a pot with carrots, onions, noodles, or rice, becoming a large pot of satisfying soup. The bones and cartilage don't get thrown away. They're simmered for hours to make a rich broth. That broth then becomes the base for gravy, poured over biscuits or mashed potatoes, or it supports yet another soup or casserole. Even the fat and pan drippings are saved for cooking. This approach means 1 chicken can comfortably feed a large family several times. By treating meat as a flavor base rather than a one-time event, they cut protein costs without sacrificing fullness. Transforming scraps into free homemade broth. What many people sweep into the trash, the ends of carrots, outer onion layers, celery leaves, herb stems, and bones, Amish cooks see as the foundation of a powerhouse ingredient, broth. Throughout the week, these clean scraps go into a container in the fridge or freezer. When there's enough, everything is dumped into a large pot, covered with water, and left to simmer slowly for hours, often on the back of a wood stove that's already running. As time passes, flavors and minerals leach from the bones and vegetables, turning the water into a golden, aromatic liquid. The broth is strained, cooled, and stored in jars for future soups, gravies, and casseroles. This homemade version is richer and more nutritious than boxed stock or bouillon cubes and costs essentially nothing. It also guarantees that less of each purchased or homegrown ingredient goes to waste. Making oats do everything. Oats in Amish kitchens behave like a Swiss Army knife ingredient. At breakfast, they appear as porridge, sometimes cooked with dried apples, cinnamon, or a drizzle of honey. Later in the day, oats show up in baked goods, crumble toppings for fruit desserts, hearty oatmeal bread, chewy cookies, or granola-style mixes. They also slip into savory dishes, stretching ground meat in meatloaf or burgers and thickening soups when flour runs short. Bought in bulk, oats are extremely cheap per serving, shelf-stable, and filling. A simple bowl of oatmeal can keep someone satisfied well into the morning, reducing snacking and the need for processed breakfast foods. Oats provide fiber and steady energy, which is valuable in a lifestyle built on physical labor. This quiet, humble grain quietly supports multiple meals and recipes, lowering costs without feeling like a compromise. If grocery prices have you feeling squeezed, if every trip to the store feels heavier on your wallet, and if you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into a cart that somehow holds less each week, then listen carefully. What you learned today was only the starting point. Part 1 showed you how the Amish survive rising prices. But Part 2 is how they beat them. That's where the real power is. The deep systems, the long-term habits, the strategies most people never learn because no one teaches them anymore. These are the methods that stretch food farther than you ever thought possible, that turn ordinary ingredients into weeks of meals and make your kitchen almost immune to price hikes. If you're ready to take control, if you're ready to stop reacting to grocery prices and start outsmarting them, then you cannot miss Part 2. We will see you in the next one.